I ask Hoya how to survive with memories so explosive. She has slept on piles of things to forget, and here I come prodding with fingers. I want a history, I want in. My questions come like the Kenyan security guards with their fingers in her hair. She says, I don't like questions. You know I don't like questions. She counts the number of siblings on both hands. She doesn't know whether to include the ones that died. I say, tell me the ones that came out from the same belly. She travelled with an elder sister for days to a remote part of northern Kenya. She laughs a little and then shakes. An elderly man was asked in an interview about his memories of the massacre. He looks at the woman and says, I haven't talked about this in 22 years and you want me to start now? His body shook like my mother's did. A dance done when trying to remain afloat, begging memory to not blow the body up. She said that she remembers how her sister washed her hair 2 days before she died. I ask, how did she die? Until she breaks. She died on dirt floor, she says. She was 7 months pregnant. She went crazy. In the documentary, the men went back, demonstrated what was done to their bodies, pointed how they were put down and burnt. We are told that 5,000 men were beaten, starved, until they got so desperate they resorted to drinking piss. The men come back from time to time to pray for the land and themselves, and the memory is so strong that some people vow to never talk about it again. We carry their anger on their faces, decorate the entire chest with it. I hold my head when a man says, if I could, I would eat them all alive. He brings his hand towards his mouth to show the camera how he would do it. The soldiers left only mass graves and widows. And then the frame shifts, and a minister of the government says, no government targets its own civilians. There is a man who tells his story without tears. He says that all the bodies had been thrown to the hyenas, and he witnessed how the intestines had been tied around the trees by the animals. He had no knife. He used his own teeth. He's asked why he would do such a thing. So they could be buried, he says. My mother falls into a silence. This is what you come from, Amaal. Are you going to write poems about us? When I come back to my room, I hide from the notebook. The memory begins to sting. My body shakes. We are in the business of raising our oldest sons into the husbands that ran away. We wipe away the blood from the walls and the floor when the offense is at the hands of our beloved boy. But last week we gave Khadija away to the one who made a hobby out of pulling down skirts in dark corners when sent to Quran class. But we forgave him when he grew the beard. We took to blaming the girls for wearing the skirts that were easy to pull off in the dark. And we came together to pray for him, forgetting how we had tucked our daughter into a shark's mouth. We were hoping that her soft body was hers when she finally looked us in the face again. And we'll try our best, or apologize when our boys grow up and find their alcoholic father in every mirror. We'll call our boys baby when they bring home a round-bellied girl with no family. We've always been in the business of burying our heads from the storm. And we begin to cry when the war isn't a silent one, when it threatens our four walls with collapse. And our boys stop calling, forget the door number, the home phone, and we won't know what to do with our hands when loss begins to greet us from the other side of the dining table. And we stare at all 6 chairs, now empty, thinking about the men we have raised, who are still running from their own reflection, trying to leave their body anywhere they can. Make it out of all the houses that were too small for the entire family. Make it out of the bedrooms that you weren't allowed to get familiar with. Make it out of the way that you keep a suitcase beneath your bed in case you come home from school and mom says you're moving someplace new. Make it out of neighbors that want you to burn and do not mind telling you about it. Make it out of the mother who dreams about things falling, collapsing, breaking in half, then half again. Make it out of the mother you needed, all arms and warmth. Make it out of the father that you got, whose hands show all it took to get you the fancy phone and the laptop. Make it out of the bedrooms that you wanted to disappear in. Make it out of the time that your father said, you are the bad apple, all we need to do is remove you and everything else will be fine. Make it out of your mother's fear of public transport. Make it out of the way that she wouldn't be able to jump on the tube if you didn't come home one day. Make it out of hushed breath and bloodstains on the floor when disaster stays longer than anyone expected. Make it out of the uncle who calls to remind you, I have people everywhere you go. Make it out of a bloody mouth when you press too hard on the tongue, afraid of talking back. Make it out of the way that you sat with that bloody mouth as he said, I've never been so proud. Look how clean you are, how great our family name. Make it out of a pain that you cannot explain. Make it out of the way it knows you so well. Make it out anyway. I hold 3 fingers towards her. I ask my mother, when they cut you, did they take a little, some, or all? She says all, and then she smiles, admits that really it was her fault that she wanted it. She complained for days about the girls at school who said, shame on the ones who are uncut. She tells me now that a dirty girl is a talked about girl, that becoming clean takes sacrifice. It looks like a body being flushed of its blood, torn into, a body left with less of itself when the blade is lifted. Nobody ever talks about the ones who bleed into the night. In the kitchen, I use the same 3 fingers, bring them together with the thumb, asking how big of an opening did they leave you? She whispers that it still gives her nightmares. The blood came so quickly, and a woman sat on her chest to stop the movement. Slowly, she repeats, a dirty girl is a talked about girl. I want to ask how much she feels when she is touched. I hold my tongue. Thank you so much.